Alright, so today I'm doing the finishing touches on this for the most part. Off camera, there's really no point to film a lot of the stuff I did because it's pretty tedious and boring and probably would have been terrible footage anyway. But since you guys saw the install on the Ford 9-inch, I actually had to get some axle spacers to fill in about a 1/8-inch gap so that the axle didn't slide back and forth while driving, and that would have destroyed the retainer plate, probably destroyed the bearings, and then the pads and the caliper would have ended up grinding and all that. So I got those in, and I got the master cylinder installed. This is the Strange manual master cylinder. I've got my line ran to my line lock out to my fronts, and then I got my Strange proportioning valve to my rear. And I got that all put together, lines routed. I rewired the front harness here before it came out of the firewall, went up all the way across, and then like super zip tied to the frame rail so it'd stay hidden, and that pissed me off, so I changed it so it's just a straight line. Put a new carburetor on it that's a little bit smaller of a carburetor, same style carburetor, quick fuel brawler, but it's a 650 now. So I'm hoping that, I think my 750 was way too big. I think it was just putting in too much fuel. So got a tiny little cute carburetor or air filter on that too, so that no dusties fall in it. So when I go to fire this, I'll have to reset the bowls and then mess with the idle screws as well. Inside the car, this is my line lock engagement, and then a quick release installed. I did not buy the quick release, I got it as a gift. So that'll initiate my line lock. I got an indicator to tell me if it's engaged or not. Added a voltage gauge right there so I can measure my voltage, because of I moved the battery from the front to the back. New harnesses, new seat brackets in, seats are in. And then for the rear, I started on the rear brake lines. I got those routed and everything. And I got these flex lines off of TRZ. And I mounted the lines to the hard body of the car instead of to the rear axle, because I did not, when I ordered this, I didn't have them make mounting tabs for the brake lines like an idiot, so I just mounted it to the car. The line is ran all the way up and above, so I made it so that if, for whatever reason, if the rear end was going to bottom out, or the torque arm was going to bottom out on the car, it wasn't going to pinch that line. So it's routed. Looks kind of dumb, but it's out of the way. And then these will give it the car flex, or it'll be allowed to flex. So when the rear end separates from the car, it'll still have some line and everything like that. But I got those routed. I think I'm going to redo this because I really don't like how close this line is to this metal hole that I drilled. I just don't want that rubbing through. So yeah, I'm just going to do some fluids, top all that off. I'm going to toss some water in this thing and toss the other tire on so I can lower it, change the oil, and let's see if we can start it up. It should start up. It's got old fuel in it though. Fuel is from Labor Day weekend. Doesn't have much, but it's still gonna be pretty crappy. It should drain it, but whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna get to changing oil. I got rear end fluid in. That's always a pain. Then we'll change the oil, add some water, and see what happens. Found a little bit of a hack. Just empty this halfway, turn it so that this bolt is facing this handle. And then you just kind of stuff it right up on this bracket and it drains itself. Haha. This isn't the most ideal way to do this. Ideally, you'd probably want to have a bleeder system. I don't have one, and I'm too lazy to go buy one. So I just do it this way. I just fill the block up with water, coolant, and pushes the water all the way down in the radiator. Basically forces the air out, and then once I see that the water is basically done backflowing into the radiator, I just top the radiator off, and it seems to work good. I did it on my truck when I replaced the oil pump on that. No air bubbles, but yum. Oh, I like to use this VR1 from Valvoline. I just run a 1030. It's the only oil I've ever put in this car. So, I don't know. You know, I can run like Rotel or Schaefer's, but I feel like Schaefer's is for like when you're making a lot of power and that thing's a serious race car kind of deal. And Rotella, I don't know. Everyone's got their own preference of oil. I just prefer this. Alright, so I'm going to prime the oil first so that I have oil in the block because this thing hasn't turned over since I broke it. I'm going to do that for a few seconds and then I'm going to try and fire it up. I got Mark here so that if it dies, you can tap the throttle to keep it running until I can get to it. And so, I guess we'll see what happens.
And then know where else maybe go.
So,
Because that's right on top of the car, isn't it?
no.
Or,
Alright, we got up to 40 pounds, so got oil in the block. Alright, you ready?
yes.
Prepare your ears.
Yep.
Oh, I think we got an issue. Nope, just my turn signal. Here we go. Alright, so I think I'm having a fueling issue with too much fuel, or I have a really bad misfire. My guess is it's too much fuel and it fouled the plugs. And because once I restarted it after it died, it sounded like I was running on like 5 cylinders or so. But the other big issue was I didn't pay attention to all the transmission fluid that I leaked. That's got to be a solid 2.5 quarts on the ground that I just covered in kitty litter. So I have some issues to address. I think I'm just gonna kind of clean up here, cover the carb, come back to it another day where I have a fresh mind. I'm not as frustrated as I am. But, I mean, it started. Yeah. I don't know. I still got, basically all that's left is to fix all this, work those bugs out. I'm still waiting on some fittings to connect the T to the brake lines, and then I can bleed the brakes and everything. And then once all that's worked out, we can go for a first test drive. But that's going to be it. I guess this is sort of a fail, but also a success because it did start.
Progress.
Progress is some sort of progress. My volt gauge, it did come back, so that's cool. So, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Till next time. I did not do the right hand signal.
What are you trying to do?
Peace.
Peace, love, same thing.
Deuces.
Deuce.